It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Cal Poly Humboldt head women's volleyball coach, Coach Angela Spoja. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you
Good.
talk about how you knew that you want to get started in coaching in college women's volleyball?
Sure. I was in my senior year at Eastern Washington University where I played. Um, and I had just finished, and my head coach at the time, Pam Parks, was uh, we'd gotten a new assistant coach, and she was kind of in the midst of training another assistant and doing some other things. And she had asked me if I wanted to go recruit at a tournament for her that she could not make it to. And I kind of laughed, like, I don't really know what I'm doing. And she's like, well, you've played here, you know what I like in an athlete, like you can go find that, at this tournament. And so I said, oh, okay, and we were in Eastern Washington. So I drove to closer to kind of where Pullman is. There was a high school there holding a tournament and got to do my first recruiting trip and came back to her and reported in and really enjoyed doing that part. And then she asked me to um, kind of stay on as like, I don't know if it would be called a GA now, but like a helper. It probably would have been like a graduate assistant or a GA at that time to finish out until I graduated in the spring. And so I got to kind of see a little bit of behind the scenes, which I hadn't seen as a player, which was, some of the practice planning, why decisions are made, some of the recruiting parts of the job, and I really fell in love with it. So I didn't really know where or how the path was going to lead, but I knew I wanted to coach at some level, whether that was going to be club or high school. At that time, also, I had already coached club for probably close to 3 years. So.
What was that experience like as a player going to Eastern Washington?
I loved my time at Eastern Washington. Some people have an issue with that, Cheney is very small, but it's 15, 20 minutes from Spokane, so there's still a lot to do. The school was just big enough for me to feel like it had a lot of students and support during the games, really fun atmosphere. Um, and and just big enough to where you didn't get lost. So my class sizes were still only like, the biggest class I had was maybe 40 people, and once I got into my major, it was like 15 people. So my experience was great. I love being coached by Pam. She was tough, but she's excellent, knows the game of volleyball really well, and she taught me so much. I would say before I got there, my knowledge on, I guess, even every position of the game was probably small, and she really broadened, expanded my knowledge for the game of volleyball.
As a player, what was that like getting to represent them and putting on that Eastern Washington jersey?
Well, I mean, it was pretty amazing. Our Reese Court is huge, and we had a lot of support from the other sports, but also we had fraternities there that would come and like put our names and our faces on banners and roll them down during game time, and just a lot of people at our games. And so I remember the first time I walked out into Reese Court, getting ready to warm up, and I looked around and I thought, I think the very first thing is I was like really grateful to be there. I was just really grateful that Pam chose me and that I was going to be able to represent the school. But just the atmosphere alone is just like it's big and it's fun. So it was great.
Coming out of college, what was that experience like being a director for the South Sound Volleyball Club?
Well, South Sound wasn't my first club. I started the Edge Volleyball Club in 2003, maybe 2004, because I had taken on the coaching job at Tacoma Community College, and I realized that a lot of, I guess, you know, I want to say maybe underprivileged kids like couldn't afford to play club. And so very good athletes, three sport athletes in our area in Tacoma, but they couldn't afford to play club. So we started the Edge Volleyball Club and we kept the dues very, very low so that more kids could play. Um, and our first tryout had, 90 kids at our 17s, 18s tryout. And we didn't even have the gym space for them. I didn't even know what to do with that many kids. So, the Edge was kind of my baby, and we could only have 6 teams because we didn't have a big enough facility to run any more than that. Um, when I decided that I was going to grow it, there was another club in our backyard in University Place that I called the director and said, we should sit down and talk. I'm going to grow my club. You have, 6 to 8 teams. I have 6 teams. I want to get up to, 18, 19 teams. I want to give all of these kids a place to play. Is this something we can do? So I sat down with him and then we joined forces and then South Sound Volleyball Club was created. And it was, I mean, South Sound was great. COVID put us out of business, but it was a great club. I think we really did things well, very organized, high level of volleyball. And a lot of those kids that I coached there for I don't know how many years, was probably 11 or 12, um, are coaching now. So that's pretty fun.
What was that experience like being the head coach at Tacoma Community College?
My years at Tacoma Community College were great. I took over the program. I was fairly young, probably didn't know what I was doing at all, but I was so competitive. I just wanted to win. So I was trying to find those kids that, like I said, were three sport athletes that probably hadn't focused a lot on volleyball. The very first year, I didn't even have enough to make a roster, so I was going around campus looking for kids that were athletic. I showed up at a dodgeball tournament in the gym, and a couple of kids there like could really throw the ball. And I was like, "Hey, have you played volleyball? Do you want to be on our team?" Lo and behold, that first year we went from last in the conference to second, and then the very next year we won the conference. And I think we won the conference for seven more years after that. Um, so, it went from kind of like nothing, to being a very competitive program and getting some of the best athletes in there at the JC level. Um, was really grateful for that job. It taught me, I mean, I had to do everything, right? You have to wear every hat, right? You've got to recruit, you've got to do the website, you've got to do all the travel. You don't really have any help. And so, I mean, was I spread thin? Yeah, but I was a young kid and I just wanted to win games. So, you know, um, so that experience really set me up for the rest of my coaching career.
What was that experience like going to Evergreen State to being their head coach?
Um, I was torn about taking the Evergreen job. I won't lie. I was coming off of Tacoma Community College. My kids were still fairly young, and I was trying to decide if I was going to stay at home and have something that wasn't as demanding, um, or to keep coaching. And I was kind of at a crossroads. And the job came up at Evergreen, and they had called me and asked me to apply for it. And I had to think on it for a while because I knew that Evergreen wasn't really funded, and I was going to be fundraising a heck of a lot of money for a program. I knew recruiting was going to be tough. But as I went to the interview and I talked through it with the athletic director at the time. Matt was his name. Really, a really great boss, very supportive. Um, and thought, you know what, I can make this program better. These kids haven't won a game. Some of the seniors that I had my first year hadn't ever won a game there. So I think they were 0 and 55 or 0 and 60 or something when I took it over. And I remember that very first um, preseason tournament we went to, and we walked out and we'd won a game, and the seniors started crying because they thought they were never going to win a game the whole time they were there. And I just looked at them and I said, okay, we got to stop those tears because there's going to be plenty more wins here, so we're going to be okay. And they were like, okay, okay, we can do it. So it was a really exciting time. But it was a very hard job.
How was that feeling like getting that call from your alma mater of Eastern Washington to be their interim head coach?
Well, initially I got the call from the head coach asking me to come support her in the first assistant role. And at this point, my kids had graduated from high school. And so, I always had this agreement with my husband. We couldn't really move when I was, younger starting out head coach because his job was there. And so he said, as soon as the kids leave the house, apply for any job you want and move wherever you want. And so I had gotten a call and had talked to the head coach, and she really needed some support. And I thought I might be a good person. I knew the alumni very well. They needed to work on getting the alumni back in. Recruiting was an issue, and I was a pretty good recruiter at this point. So I think I had a lot of strong suits that could help the head coach at the time. And so I was excited to take the job on. It's never easy. I had to pack up my car and like drive away from the house that I'd been in for, 20 years and leave my husband behind because he was still working. He wasn't retired yet. And go take on something new. I hadn't been an assistant coach in 20 years. So this was going to be a new role for me, but I was really excited about challenging myself and how I could support the head coach and help build the program. And so it was an exciting time.
What was that experience like stepping back on to your volleyball court at Eastern Washington?
Amazing. It was amazing. I mean, I walked in there and again, I just have that sense of gratitude and that I was brought back there and able to build something that I really cared about, and able to be back in the, Spokane community. Um, it was fantastic. It took a little bit of a turn for the worse because 2 months after I got there, COVID hit. And so we were shut down for quite some time, as you know. And so that was a little different, but we all got through it. So here we are.
How is that feeling like getting that call from Cal Poly to come to Cal Poly?
It was good. I learned about the opening of the job at the end of my interim time at Eastern Washington University and um, thought, well, if I'm going to make a move, now is a good time. So I never thought I would live in California. I never thought that I would be coaching in California. I came down on my visit for my interview and I fell in love with Arcata. It's got all the feel of Washington State. Like it looks like Washington State, but it's warmer, the weather's better. The community is small and close knit. I think this school, the athletics department is very close. The coaches are very close. And I think that helps, the camaraderie helps you do your job a lot better. And you have a lot of people to bounce things off of. There's a lot of support. So getting that call that they were offering me the position was awesome. And again, it was a program that hadn't been successful for many years, I mean, 10 plus years. So at this point I felt like, okay, I can take this challenge on. I've done this before. And this is kind of what my career has been, is going into programs and helping them build. And so that's what we're doing.
What has that experience been like, as you said, coming into the program and rebuilding the culture?
Well, I'm heading into, let's see, I've almost been here 3 years. And, it takes about 5 to 7 years to get to where you really want to be. When you take over a program that's hasn't had really the culture that I would consider to be a healthy volleyball culture, nor a winning program. Our conference is very competitive. I think that's one thing I didn't realize the level of volleyball before I got here. I had seen things on film. I had watched, well, we have a volumetrics app that all coaches use, and I had seen them play, and I had seen the other schools, but I don't think it really hit till I got here and got to see the level of competition. So building the culture's been slow but necessary. We are in a very good place right now. I think we have student athletes that are willing to accept my style of coaching and also willing to put in the work and want to be better. They want to be better on and off the court. And we've been talking about a holistic approach to, not just volleyball, like what kind of people do we want to be? And I think it's really important we talk about what kind of people we want to be. What do we want to give our community? What do we want them to see when they come here? I mean, we had 136 kids at camp last year, and we just preach about like, what are we showing these younger athletes? So I think it's a lot more than just the volleyball portion, but we are in a good spot coming into this next fall season.
Of course, can you talk about the teams that play in your conference?
Oh yeah, I mean, usually we have about five top 20 teams in our conference. And that's been, like I said, the competition is crazy. I mean, Cal State LA is always at the top. Juan does a fantastic job there. They were at the top all this last year, and the year before had won the championship. San Bernardino's won the championship how many times? The NCAA's, I don't know, seven, eight. I mean, Kim's a fantastic coach. You have Cal Poly Pomona. Tracy's again a fantastic coach, just a great leader for female athletes, and develops her teams, and they're just awesome. Matt at San Francisco State had a tremendous year last year and this year. And then Stan, I mean, Stan Stanislav, was kind of a sleeper pick. Like they were good and we beat them early on in the season. And I knew I was watching them and I was thinking, oh, they've got a lot of firearm there. Like they've got a lot of offensive threats and they're going to be pretty good. And then they ended up winning the CCAA championship. So I mean, there's so many good teams. East Bay's always good. San Marcos has a great program. I mean, Monterey Bay, there's not a team here that's not good. So there's never a gimme. So you can't just walk into a gym ever and think, oh, I'm going to beat these guys because they haven't won yet, because everybody's good.
What is that home game atmosphere like when teams come to your home facility versus going away to San Francisco?
Our home gym is great. We've really built that up. We've built up our fan base. I think we had 600 people at a game this year, which is a lot for us, and like maybe as low as like 150, 200. We have our marching lumberjacks in the fan and or in the stands, and they are some of our biggest fans. So they're playing, the band's playing. We've had some of our campers come back. The atmosphere has been great at home. Obviously, when we go away to gyms and travel, it's a lot. They have their own thing going on, all the gyms, and they have their own fans, and so of course it's going to be different and a little quieter on our side, but yeah, we have created, I think, something pretty special here so far.
As a coach, what has that been like getting to take your players to Hawaii and playing in Hawaii?
Hawaii was one of our best tournaments. It was early on, but we got to see, a lot of GNAC schools, and we're going to go back this year. We're going to go to, we were in Hilo last year. We're going to go to Honolulu this year, so we'll have some really good competition again in the beginning. I think Chaminade, Hilo again, um, Hawaii Pacific. I think Cal State LA is going to go there. I mean, we won't play them because we see them in conference, but so there's a lot to be said when you travel with a team and you're gone that long and you get to spend the beginning of your season together and you get to do a lot of activities that also aren't volleyball because it just builds camaraderie. And I think that helped us. So we are really fortunate to be able to do that again this year.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective volleyball players?
Recruitment, well, we recruit. I think we're doing a pretty good job recruiting, and we recruit a lot in state and a lot of out of state. Most of our kids are under the WUI or the Western Undergraduate Graduate Exchange. So they come from states like Washington, Idaho, Oregon, obviously California, Arizona, Denver, Colorado, Montana. We have a kid coming in from Montana this year. And, the process is a lot of times I'm out recruiting, but there's only so many tournaments you can get to. So I usually open up the camp. I mean, we signed 6 kids this last year off of camp. So I think it's important to get to camp and show your stuff if you want to go to school here. Um, but yeah, I mean, the process is normally they come on a visit and we take them around campus and we have them meet our team and play with our team and see if it's a good fit, meet with the academic advisor, kind of go through all of the things you would do as a student athlete here in a day, and then talk with their parents and, make sure they're a fit for our program and we're a fit for them. And then, hopefully they come here.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen putting on that jersey for the first time representing the school?
It's pretty exciting. This last year's group, so I've only had two freshman groups so far. The first one, I think because I was like I got hired so late and I felt really kind of like underwater for the whole first year, I think, just trying to catch up because I got hired, I got down here, and then we started season like a week later. So it was very fast, and I think I was kind of underwater. So I can't remember that as well, but this last season was pretty exciting for me. Somebody that played at Eastern, her daughter now goes to school here. And so I got to see her, Brielle Wilson, suit up for the first time as a freshman. And she's got some really great freshmen with her. She's got Sadie and Amelia and Emily. We decided to redshirt, but so the four of them have become pretty close. And watching them just put on the jersey and then just every day get so much better, it's pretty exciting. And I just think about where our program's going to be in 3 to 4 years from now when they're seniors.
What is that like getting to see those seniors putting on that last jersey representing the school?
The senior night's always hard. I mean, it's hard to say goodbye to your seniors, you know. We do a nice little ceremony here and we try to celebrate them throughout the year, not just on one night. But, especially when kids, and I haven't had this yet because I haven't been here long enough, but when kids have been with you for 4 or 5 years, it's hard. It's hard to say goodbye. And you hope it's never goodbye, right? Because, I mean, hundreds of athletes I've coached throughout the years, I still keep in touch with. Um, and like I said, a lot of them are coaching now, and then they call and they're like, I need some help with, A, B, C, or D. And I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. Um, but yeah, senior night's very special and it's hard to say goodbye to your seniors.
How is that like getting to see them going on and going into coaching after their playing career?
It's amazing. Strong women build strong women. So, um, it's great watching them just go through. I mean, I get to meet up. Lindsay McLaughlin was a senior here my first year, and I get to meet up with her. She's coaching club now, and I get to meet up with her regularly. I've got Mia Nakarado is coaching for Dakine. I get to see these kids throughout the year, and it's like just watching them coach and do their thing. One of my Cameron Pence, I coached in college. She moved to Arizona. She's coaching for an Arizona club. I get to see her this weekend. So there's just a lot of kids that, and they're not kids anymore. They're young women, so I should say that, but they're kids to me, that are coaching now. And I don't think there's enough women coaching. So I feel so proud of them. And I just, and them giving back to the sport that they love. I just think that's, it's full circle for me.
What have been some of the things that you've been able to accomplish so far, and what are some of your future plans for the program?
We had some pretty big wins last year. We beat Cal State LA at home. That was huge because they're defending champions. We beat San Bern at home. We had the best start to our season in, I don't know, 10 years. So we're going in the right direction. It wasn't quite enough for me through the middle of the season and toward the end of the season. So I've had to rethink kind of what we were doing in those moments and how we need more longevity. And I think with us just building up again our culture, like I've already talked about, building up our physical ability, which would be, working out. I think maybe we didn't come in as good a shape as we should have this last year. And so middle of the season, you start to feel that lag. So we've really talked about how can we be better in those moments. And we've talked about being in better shape. I think that's going to really help us. And then right now, in spring, we're focusing on the little things. I think we didn't do the little things well, and we have really taken a step back, and we're really talking about all of the little things that are going to help us throughout those times when you start to feel fatigued, or it's the middle of the season, it's October, and you're just like, okay, this has been a long season, but those little things are going to carry us through. So we're really trying to get better at the small things.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college volleyball?
I'd say for a Division II, you need to come in shape. You have to come in shape. You're going to be excited, you're going to be like, things are going to feel crazy. I mean, we've had tears, we've had happiness, tears are normal too for incoming freshmen. There's always a lot of tears, and that's okay. They gotta work through it. But I think if you come in shape and you come in with the expectation that you're going to be, you know, always control the things you can control, like your effort, your energy, your communication, those things, then you're going to do just fine. Um, we have a really short preseason here at Division Two, and so I've noticed that if we again aren't in the shape that we need to be in, it's a struggle. So they've got to work out all summer long to get ready to be here.
What advice would you give those seniors that have aspirations of playing professional volleyball or getting into coaching?
Well, I'd say go for it. Yeah, there's nothing holding you back, you know. There's so many coaching opportunities available. There's opportunities to play overseas. There's opportunities now in the United States, you know, to play professionally. And I'd say shoot big, go for it.
What advice would you give those college coaches looking to become head coaches and build their own program?
Oh, what advice? You're not ever going to know everything. And you got to jump in with both feet, and it's not going to be easy. This job is not easy. It's a lot of work, but the rewards are huge, and the rewards are not wins and losses, right? The rewards are not your wins. The rewards are your relationships that you build over 30 years of coaching. And if you can see that, you're going to do really well as a coach.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you on social media along with the program at?
They can follow us at Humboldt Women's VB on Instagram. And obviously on our website. So we always are posting on our website. Camp is coming up. We just released our camp dates with registration, so kids can get signed up and jump into that. Yeah, but our Instagram is fairly active, and I'm hiring a new assistant coach right now. She'll be here in a few weeks, so she will be taking over some of the social media. So I'd say you want to find out what's going on with us, that's what you should be doing.
Thank you again, Coach, for your interview, and best luck in your future at Cal Poly Humboldt as the head volleyball coach.
Thank you so much.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.